Win before the battle. It's a bold claim, right? But what if I told you that most people waste their energy fighting battles they could have avoided entirely? Think about it. How often do we rush into decisions, arguments, or challenges unprepared and unaware, only to end up frustrated or defeated? It doesn't have to be this way. Sun Tzu's The Art of War holds secrets that can transform the way you approach every obstacle in life. His strategies aren't just for generals on ancient battlefields. They're timeless lessons for anyone navigating the chaos of modern life. Whether you're facing a career decision, a personal challenge, or even a conflict within yourself, Sun Tzu offers a playbook for winning smarter, faster, and with less stress. In this video, we'll uncover the most powerful strategies from the art of war, not just to fight better, but to win without fighting at all. By the end, you'll see how these ancient principles can give you an edge in every aspect of life. But before we dive in, do me a quick favor, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's unravel the first lesson from Sun Tzu, knowing yourself and your enemy. Lesson 1. Know yourself and your enemy. Know yourself and your enemy, and you'll win 100 battles without a single loss. Ever heard that before? It's one of Sun Tzu's most famous lines, and for a good reason. Think about it. How can you win a battle if you don't even know what you're fighting for? Or worse, if you don't know who or what you're up against? This principle isn't just about warfare. It's about mastering the inner and outer worlds. Let's break it down. Knowing yourself is more than a motivational cliche. It's about brutal honesty. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? For example, if you're someone who procrastinates, we've all been there. Admit it. Then figure out why. Maybe you get overwhelmed, or maybe you're chasing perfection. Once you know that, you can start creating systems like using time-blocking apps or breaking tasks into smaller chunks to turn procrastination into productivity. Now, let's talk about knowing your enemy. Your enemy doesn't have to be a person. It could be a challenge, bad habit, or even a toxic environment. For instance, if you're trying to eat healthier but keep reaching for junk food, ask yourself, why? Is it convenience? Stress? Identifying the root cause is the first step to winning that battle. And yes, stock your kitchen with healthy snacks. It's a game changer. But here's the twist. Knowing yourself and your enemy isn't a one-time thing. It's a constant process. Life evolves, and so do challenges. That's why Sun Tzu emphasized this as a practice, not just a rule. So the next time you face a tough situation, pause and ask yourself, do I truly understand what's happening here? Am I prepared for this battle, or am I just winging it? And speaking of preparation, there's a whole strategy behind winning before you even fight. Lesson 2. All wars are won before they are fought. Here's the thing. Most battles are decided long before anyone steps onto the battlefield. Sun Tzu didn't just stumble upon this wisdom. It's a timeless truth that applies to everything from personal goals to massive undertakings. Planning isn't boring. It's a superpower. Picture this. You're setting out to run a marathon. Would you just show up on race day without training, hoping for the best? Of course not. You'd map out a training plan, choose the right shoes, and figure out your hydration strategy. The same principle applies to your daily life. Want that promotion? Start building your skills and network months, maybe even years, before the opportunity arises. Trying to save money? Create a budget today so future you isn't stressed tomorrow. Preparation isn't just about doing, it's about anticipating. What obstacles could you face? What resources do you need? Sun Tzu teaches us to think 2, 3, even 10 steps ahead. If you're planning to start a new business, don't just dream about the launch. Research your market, learn from competitors, and test your ideas. By the time you're fighting, you'll already know the outcome. But here's the catch. Over-preparing can be just as risky as under-preparing. Don't let perfectionism paralyze you. There's a fine balance between readiness and action, and mastering it is key. Take that step forward, but make sure it's on solid ground. Now, what happens when your plan doesn't go as expected? Well, Sun Tzu had a strategy for that too: adaptation. Lesson 3. Adapt to circumstances. Life rarely goes according to plan, doesn't it? Sun Tzu understood this better than anyone. He taught that no matter how meticulously you plan, the battlefield or life will always throw surprises your way. The secret isn't avoiding change, it's learning to pivot gracefully when it comes. Think about it like this. Imagine you're driving to an important meeting, and suddenly you hit a massive traffic jam. You can't just sit there honking and hoping the cars will magically move. Instead, you pull up a GPS, find an alternate route, and keep going. That's adaptability in action. In life, adaptability often means letting go of rigid expectations. Let's say you're launching a project at work, but halfway through, the market shifts or the client changes their mind. The old you might panic, but the adaptable you seize opportunity. Maybe this change opens doors to a more innovative approach or a chance to learn a new skill. The key is to stay flexible and resourceful, not stuck and stubborn. Practical tip: start small. If you're someone who struggles with change, try this. The next time your plans get disrupted, like when a friend cancels last minute, don't let it ruin your day. Instead, use that time to do something productive or fun. Treat the unexpected as a chance to pivot, not a problem to endure. And here's a thought. Adaptability isn't just about reacting to change, it's about anticipating it. The more you study patterns and prepare for the unexpected, the easier it is to pivot without breaking a sweat. Speaking of patterns, Sun Tzu believed in using them strategically, often through the art of deception. Lesson 4. Use deception to your advantage. All warfare is based on deception. Sun Tzu's words might sound a bit cunning, but let's be real. Life often rewards the clever. This isn't about lying or manipulation. It's about strategy, outsmarting challenges, and thinking creatively to stay ahead. Picture a game of chess. The skilled player doesn't just move pieces randomly. They set traps, create diversions, and make the opponent believe one thing while planning something entirely different. The same logic applies to life. Let's say you're negotiating a deal. If you show all your cards too soon, you lose leverage. Instead, present just enough information to keep the other party guessing while you work toward your real goal. Deception isn't limited to big moves. It can be subtle. Ever heard the phrase, "fake it till you make it"? It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about projecting confidence while you're still growing into your potential. For example, if you're nervous about a presentation, prepare so thoroughly that even your nerves can't betray you. The audience doesn't need to know you're shaking inside. They'll only see your polished delivery. Now here's a practical twist. Sometimes you're not deceiving others but yourself. If you've ever used a clever mental trick to push through a workout, like telling yourself, just 5 more minutes, then you've already mastered this art on a personal level. It's about creating the mindset you need to win, even when the odds seem stacked against you. But let's not stop here. Deception works best when combined with another Sun Tzu principle, avoiding unnecessary battles altogether. Lesson 5. Avoid prolonged conflict. Here's the truth. Prolonged battles drain everything: your energy, resources, and even your morale. Sun Tzu knew that victory isn't about how long you can fight. It's about how efficiently you can win. Whether in war, work, or relationships, dragging things out often causes more harm than good. Think about a toxic argument. Ever been in one where both sides keep going, not because anyone's winning, but because neither wants to back down. It's exhausting, right? Now imagine taking a step back instead. Sometimes walking away from unnecessary battles is the smartest move you can make. It doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're conserving your energy for fights that actually matter. On a practical level, avoiding prolonged conflict means recognizing when persistence turns into stubbornness. Let's say you're working on a project, but no matter how much time or effort you pour into it, the results just aren't there. Instead of doubling down endlessly, Sun Tzu would advise you to reassess. Is the approach wrong? Are you fighting the wrong battle? Sometimes redirecting your focus is the fastest path to progress. Here's a relatable example. Imagine you're trying to resolve a misunderstanding with a friend. Instead of going in circles for hours trying to prove who's right, what if you shifted the conversation to what really matters, the relationship? By focusing on the bigger picture, you can find a resolution faster and with less damage. But avoiding prolonged conflict isn't just about saving time. It's about strategy. If you waste all your resources on one fight, what happens when a bigger challenge comes along? Sun Tzu's wisdom here teaches us to be patient, strategic, and intentional with our efforts. And here's where things get interesting. What if you could not only avoid prolonged battles, but also turn weaknesses into strengths? That's exactly what Sun Tzu's next principle reveals. Lesson 6. Turn weakness into strength. Weaknesses are not your downfall. They're your untapped potential. Sun Tzu believed that in every disadvantage lies the seed of an unexpected advantage. The key? Stop seeing weaknesses as limits and start seeing them as opportunities. Let's break it down. Imagine you're new to a job and your inexperience feels like a glaring flaw. Instead of trying to hide it, lean into it. Your fresh perspective can lead to innovative ideas that seasoned employees might overlook. In fact, some of the most groundbreaking solutions in history have come from people who weren't bound by traditional thinking. On a personal level, this principle can transform how you see yourself. Let's say you're naturally introverted and feel it's a disadvantage in social settings. What if instead you embraced your strength as a great listener? Use that skill to connect deeply with others, making your quieter nature an asset rather than a limitation. Sun Tzu's wisdom also applies to competition. If an opponent sees you as weak in one area, they may underestimate you. Use that to your advantage. For example, if you're a small business competing with larger companies, your perceived weakness, being small, can actually be a strength. You can adapt faster, offer personalized service, and build closer relationships with customers. Here's a practical exercise. Identify one weakness in your life right now. Then ask yourself, how can this be flipped into a strength? If you're disorganized, maybe you're also highly creative. Channel that creativity into systems that work for you. If you're bad at public speaking, focus on one-on-one communication where you might excel. The magic of this principle is simple. When you stop running from your weaknesses, you start unlocking strengths you never knew you had. And speaking of strengths, leadership is one of the most powerful tools for victory, as Sun Tzu explains in his next lesson. Lesson 7. Leadership determines victory. Sun Tzu didn't mince words. The quality of a leader determines the fate of their army. Leadership isn't just a role. It's a responsibility, a skill, and an art. Whether you're managing a team, leading a family, or simply guiding yourself through life's challenges, your ability to lead can make or break your success. Let's talk about what makes a great leader. It's not about barking orders or being the loudest voice in the room. True leadership is about inspiring trust, making decisive choices, and staying calm under pressure. Think of the best leaders you know. They probably lead by example, don't they? They don't just tell you what to do. They show you how it's done. Here's an example. Imagine you're part of a team facing a tight deadline. A weak leader might panic, micromanage, or shift blame when things go wrong. A strong leader, on the other hand, would rally the team, delegate effectively, and remain a source of stability. That's the kind of leadership that turns a stressful situation into a collective victory. But leadership isn't just about others. It starts with leading yourself. If you can't discipline your own mind, emotions, and actions, how can you guide anyone else? This is where practices like self-reflection and goal setting become crucial. Sun Tzu believed that a leader who knows their strengths, weaknesses, and values can navigate any challenge with clarity. One practical tip: start leading by listening. Whether it's your team, your family, or even your own inner thoughts, pay attention before you act. Listening helps you understand the situation, earn trust, and make decisions that resonate. And once you've built that trust, you'll find that people naturally follow your lead. Leadership, however, is also about knowing the environment you operate in. As Sun Tzu emphasized, understanding the terrain is just as important as guiding the people around you. Lesson 8. Control the terrain. The terrain dictates the battle. This principle from Sun Tzu is as literal as it is metaphorical. On the battlefield, knowing the lay of the land can mean the difference between victory and defeat. In life, it's about understanding the environment you're in, your circumstances, your resources, and the dynamics at play. Think about it this way. If you're preparing to launch a business, wouldn't you first research the market, your competitors, and your target audience? Jumping in blindly is like marching an army into unfamiliar territory. It's reckless and almost guarantees failure. But when you take time to map the terrain, you position yourself to move strategically, avoiding pitfalls and seizing opportunities. Let's make this practical. If you're starting a fitness journey, controlling the terrain might mean clearing out unhealthy snacks from your pantry or choosing a gym that's conveniently located. Small adjustments to your environment can remove friction and make success feel inevitable. Sun Tzu's wisdom here is about setting the stage so that the odds are stacked in your favor before you even act. This idea extends to relationships and social settings too. If you're dealing with conflict at work, for instance, understanding the terrain could mean recognizing office politics, identifying allies, and knowing the best time to have difficult conversations. Approach things strategically, and you'll find smoother paths to resolution. One of the most fascinating aspects of this principle is its subtle empowerment. When you learn to control the terrain, you stop feeling like a victim of circumstances. Instead, you become an active architect of your own success. It's about working with what you have and turning it into an advantage. And speaking of strategic advantages, Sun Tzu's next lesson dives into the art of winning battles before they even begin, through the power of timing. Lesson 9. Timing is everything. Opportunities multiply as they are seized, Sun Tzu reminds us. Timing isn't just a factor in success, it's often the deciding factor. Whether you act too soon, too late, or right on time can change the entire outcome of your efforts. Knowing when to move is a skill that separates the impulsive from the strategic. Let's break it down. Imagine you're at an auction, and the item you want is about to be sold. Jump in too early, and you drive up the price unnecessarily. Wait too long, and someone else snatches it away. But if you time your bid perfectly, you maximize your chances of success. The same principle applies to all areas of life. From career moves to personal relationships, the right action at the right moment can make all the difference. In practical terms, good timing requires patience and observation. Think of an investor who buys stock when the market dips, not when it's soaring. They're not rushing with the crowd. They're watching, waiting, and acting only when the moment is optimal. You can apply this to your own goals. Are you rushing into decisions out of fear or impatience? Or are you waiting, preparing, and acting when the conditions are just right? Sun Tzu's wisdom also reminds us that timing isn't only about waiting, it's about creating. Sometimes you need to make the first move to set the pace and control the narrative. For example, if you're leading a project, don't wait for problems to arise before addressing them. Anticipate potential issues and act preemptively. Proactive timing shows leadership and prevents unnecessary battles. Here's a tip to master timing. Cultivate awareness. Pay attention to the patterns around you, whether it's trends in your industry, the emotional cues of people you interact with, or even your own energy levels. Awareness sharpens your sense of when to act and when to wait. And here's the beauty of mastering timing. It often leads to victory without unnecessary struggle. Speaking of struggle, Sun Tzu's final lesson teaches us how to win battles without even fighting. Lesson 10. Winning without fighting. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. This might sound counterintuitive. After all, isn't victory earned through effort and conflict? But Sun Tzu's brilliance lies in this subtle truth. The best fights are the ones you never have to fight at all. Winning without fighting isn't about avoiding challenges. It's about solving problems so strategically that the conflict dissolves before it even begins. Think about a workplace disagreement. Instead of escalating tensions or forcing a confrontation, imagine finding common ground before the issue spirals out of control. A simple, honest conversation could realign everyone's goals, removing the need for arguments altogether. That's the essence of this principle, finding peaceful resolutions that achieve the same results as a hard-fought battle. On a larger scale, consider negotiations. A skilled negotiator doesn't strong-arm their way to success. Instead, they build rapport, understand the other party's needs, and find solutions that feel mutually beneficial. By doing this, they avoid the drawn-out conflict of a fight and still walk away with a victory. But how does this apply to personal struggles? Let's say you're trying to overcome procrastination. Instead of battling yourself every day, what if you win by redesigning your environment? Set up your workspace for focus, eliminate distractions, and build habits that make procrastination irrelevant. No fighting, just winning through smarter systems. Sun Tzu's wisdom here teaches us that force is rarely the best option. Diplomacy, foresight, and preparation are often more effective than brute strength. And the best part, winning without fighting leaves you with more energy, time, and resources to focus on what truly matters. This brings us full circle to the core of Sun Tzu's teachings: strategy, wisdom, and intentionality. And while these lessons are profound, they're only the beginning. The real challenge lies in applying them to your own life. So, what will you do with this knowledge? You've learned how to know yourself, prepare like a strategist, adapt to life's changes, and even win without fighting. But let's be honest, none of this matters unless you act. What battles in your life are worth fighting? And more importantly, what victories can you claim without stepping onto the battlefield? Take a moment to reflect. Are you rushing into conflicts unprepared? Or are you ready to approach life like a true strategist, turning challenges into opportunities and weaknesses into strengths? The choice is yours, but remember, the clock is ticking, and every moment you hesitate is a battle lost. If you're ready to take control of your life, start applying these principles today. And to go even deeper, grab The Art of War, a timeless guide to mastering strategy and winning at every level. It's available on Amazon for a ridiculously low price, and you can find the link pinned in the first comment below. Before you go, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another life-changing lesson. And if you're hungry for more wisdom, click the card on the screen to dive into our next video. Thank you for watching, and remember, the greatest victories are the ones you never have to fight for.